Hello everybody, this is Murray back with you for this second edition of Local Lowdown. This is a new podcast. Basically, it's still not that new. We'd changed the name. It used to be Lavaca County News Review, and now it's Local Lowdown. And sadly, we were so looking forward to this second edition, but sadly, my co-host, Michelle, got sick today, or maybe yesterday, I'm not sure. And so she's not able to be here with us, and I'm going to miss her quite a bit because we had a whole lot to talk about. But anyway, I'll trudge on without her the best I can. And we're going to start off like we did last week with the obituaries. So here goes. First one will be Robert L. Matthias. Robert Lee Matthias, 72, of Shiner, passed on to his heavenly Lord Sunday, January 7th, 2004. Otto Moeller. Otto Moeller, 87, of Moulton, passed away Saturday, December 30th, 2023, surrounded by his family. Dolores Emma Krause. Dolores Emma Krause of Hallettsville passed away on Friday, December 29th, 2023, at the age of 92. Dexter James Siflick departed this world on Saturday, December 30th, 2023, after a lengthy battle with heart disease. Alan August Zotopek. Alan August Zotopek, 69, of Moravia, passed away Friday, December 15th, 2023. And Helen Zambrowski of Hallettsville passed away Saturday, December 23rd, 2023, at the age of 72. Now, forgive me if I mispronounce some of these names, and all of these obituaries are on our website, LavacaCountyToday.com, and you can go see them. You don't have to subscribe to the website to see the obituaries. So just remember that. You might want to jot it down. LavacaCountyToday.com, and there's a menu there, and you just look under obituaries and click on that, and it'll give you all the ones from last week and even prior to that. Our condolences go out to the family and friends of all these folks, and I'm sure they'll be dearly missed. We're going to move on now. We had two more deaths that really affected these newspapers. And when I say newspapers, our company owns all of the newspapers in Lavaca County, as well as the Luling Newsboy, and we own that one as well. But basically, most of the information that we'll be given in this podcast will be about the newspapers here in Lavaca County, although we will include and mention Luling from time to time because they got a great group of folks over there, and Nicole, and they put out an awesome publication, and our managing editor, Bobby Hariska, he helps them out. And we're going to run through these newspapers, folks. We're not going to do a lengthy talk about each one of them, but we're just going to mention what's in them, and then you can look at your own and look at them on the website. All of these newspapers have their own Facebook pages, friends, so just go and follow them. We'd appreciate that, and you'll see things go up on there quite frequently. We try to put these obituaries on those Facebook pages as soon as we get them, so keep that in mind. In the Hallettsville Tribune-Herald, Clayton Kelly and Jimmy Apple wrote a great piece about the former police chief and city alderman Elmo Grant. And we've got write-ups about Mr. Grant, or the chief as he's more well known. We have write-ups about him in all the papers in Lavaca County. So regardless of which one you take, you'll see it. Elmo was a beloved member of this community, Hallettsville, and a beloved member of Lavaca County in general. And he will be greatly missed, and I'll give you some more details about that when I come across them. So we'll check on that later on, and I'll give you that information. About our paper owner, Mr. Buddy Price. He passed away, and his funeral will be Friday in Giddings, and I will elaborate on that later. So as we go through the Hallettsville Tribune-Herald, Henry Joe Yashek, that has worked here forever, it seems, has a great write-up about Mr. Price in his Henry Joe's Town Chatter. So if you want to really get an insight into the man, you will get that by reading Henry Joe's column. And we have these Miss Hallettsville pageant is coming up, and I know that Michelle had intended on elaborating on that, and hopefully when she hears this podcast and sees how I probably botched everything up, that she'll come on, make some comments, and clear up the issue. We want to always honor our advertisers, and we're going to start that with this podcast, the local lowdown. And Chuck Brown is a big advertiser with us, a steady advertiser, but none more than Hofer's. Hofer's Drive-In Grocery in Washateria. I've been working with this newspaper now on to 20 years, and I believe Hofer's was advertising even before I came here. So check out Hofer's. It's a very unique place, and when vegetables are in season, you'll get fresh vegetables there. So check Hofer's out. I'm scrolling on down, and like I said before, I can't spend all the time on every newspaper. I'll give myself a little plug in this one. I wrote a column called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and it's not about Clint Eastwood's spaghetti westerns. And from what I've seen on the figures, it's been well received, and I hope that you'll check that out. We also have a write-up here about this podcast and how we change formats and how we call it local lowdown. And before I move on to the next paper, I want to mention how this podcast has already been picked up by Spotify and iHeartRadio and several more. And so our listeners now are going to range way beyond Lavaca County. So I want to tell all you folks that are listening out of the country, out of the state of Texas, in Europe, and what have you, believe it or not, we do have listeners overseas. So to clear things up to all these folks that don't know a lot about the great state of Texas, we don't all ride horses, and most of us drive a car, except for us maybe that have gotten too damn old. But other than that, Texas is a very unique place, and we're proud to be here. I might mention, too, that one of our newspapers, which I'll be moving on to in a short while, the Shiner Gazette, is where the Shiner Brewery is located. And I'm sitting here right now with Shiner beer in my refrigerator, thanks to one of my colleagues, and she knows who she is. And I'm sitting here in my little home studio, folks, and I'm 15 miles from Shiner Brewery. Yeah, that's what we're all about. So check out Texas and know that we're not all a bunch of rednecks. However, a lot of us are, and I include myself in that category. Moving on to sports in the Hallettsville Tribune-Herald, Chuck Groff, our very capable sports editor, has got stories in here about the Lady Brahmas, which is the Hallettsville Brahmas. Quite a few color pictures here, and has the girls in action, and you'll just have to check it out. He's got baseball coming up and softball coming up, and then we have a sports corner column that is written by the son of our owner, Buddy Price, and Sloan Price is pretty well taking charge of this operation, and his column is all about sports. Sloan likes to write about sports. And Chuck's got a column, too, about the NFL playoffs, and I'm going to share some more sports with you after a while that's not local, although we football fans take great interest in it. So let's move on over now to the Shiner Gazette, and the story about Buddy Price is on the front page, and we jumped out. I know I did in Moulton. We jumped the front page article to the last page, so you'll have to follow those jumps to read the whole story. Mr. Price was a very unique man, and he owned quite a number of newspapers, and just a regular newspaper guy. That's all I can tell you. Like I said on one instance, that when the ink is in your blood, you don't want to do anything else. And that's what Mr. Price has done most of his entire life. So read about him. It's very interesting. And be sure and read about the chief, Elmo Grant, because he too left his mark on this community and on this county, and he will be greatly missed. So I'm running down through the Shiner Gazette right now and picking up some high points about different things. And the Shiner High School band students placed well at competition, and you might want to read about that. And we got a story here about applying for ballots by mail for the upcoming March primaries, and about the 72nd State Domino Tournament will be held Sunday at the Knights of Columbus Hall right here in Hallettsville. So I'll scroll down now, and quite a few, just most of this are things that the people here in this county will be very interested in, and they'll have their paper and they'll see it online, so we don't have to spell it out for them. Mark Lube, he does a great job with the Shiner Sports as well as Moulton and Yoakum. So thanks, Mark, for the work that you put in. It's greatly appreciated. And Janet is in Shiner, and Janet pretty well runs that paper as far as putting it together. And kudos to Janet for the job that she does over there. And we're going to move on now from Shiner. We're going to jump on over to the Yoakum Herald-Times, saying hi to Allison and her cohort in crime over there. She knows who she is. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, she pretty well keeps things in check. And that would be our good friend, our very good friend, Nadine Rex. Yeah, Nadine, we wouldn't forget you. Scrolling on down through the Yoakum paper, we're looking at their sports page that, again, was put together by Mark Lube. And they've got their 72nd annual FFA 4-H stock show coming up January 12th and 13th at the Yoakum Rodeo Arena and Barn. A lot of great ads in here. Again, we appreciate our sponsors. After all, if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't get a paycheck. And we appreciate their support in all these newspapers. And one of those advertisers is the Gonzalez Healthcare Systems. And they run a big ad with most of our papers, just darn near every week, and we appreciate them. We appreciate all you folks that advertise in our classified pages, which we have in all the papers. You know, you can find a lot of things in those classifieds that you might not even have known that you needed. They're there, so we appreciate that. I'm not going to mention these ads about the people that are running for office, because that's kind of against our policy as far as pushing one against the other. We're strictly neutral in these newspapers, and we just wish them all the best of luck. So that's going to pretty well wrap up the Yoakum Herald-Times, and we're going to move on over to the Moulton Eagle. Now, Michelle and I and Clayton Kelly, our staff writer, and Bobby Hariska, our managing editor, we are pretty much the ones that put this Moulton Eagle together, and we're mighty proud of it. I've made a few changes, and you'll see those if you, not if you, but when you read the newspaper. Clayton wrote a story. We've got it on the front page about the police responding to 2 incidents over there in Moulton, and the subject has not yet been found, and the case is still under investigation. You'll find that by reading your newspaper or going out and checking our website, LavacaCountyToday.com, or the Moulton Eagles Facebook page. You can get all that information there as well. And we've got Elmo Grant's story on the front page, and as well as Mr. Buddy Price, the owner of the Moulton Eagle, and all these other papers. And I've got further information now on Elmo Grant's funeral, It will be held at Sacred Heart Catholic Church in Hallettsville on Saturday, January 13th at 1 p.m. A wake service will be at the Easton Building on Dowling Street on Friday, January 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. So our condolences again to the family and friends of Chief Elmo Grant, a fine man. I wished I could have met him personally. And we have this story again about Mr. Price, the owner of the Molten Eagle, and that story will be in all the papers. So check it out. It's a very interesting read. Our condolences to Buddy Price and his family. And we have an ad here about the livestock show that's coming up January 14th by the Molten Junior Livestock Association. You want to check that out. Get out and support those kids, friend. Get out and support them. So we're going to run on down here. We've got a big two full-page color spread of all these folks that are kind enough to back these kids and to advertise as such in the Molten Eagle. And that stock show will be covered by our reporters over there, and I know Clayton Kelly will be involved as well as Bobby Hariska, and we appreciate them. Appreciate the job they do. We've got a story here on page 6 about the Molten Eagle sports, and we have a picture of the junior varsity kittens and how they played 3 tough games in one day. And there's a photo of them and gives you their names, and congratulations to them, and they did a great job. We have an obituary there for Otto Mueller and Moeller, and again, forgive me if I mispronounced it, but his obituary is in the Molten Eagle on page 7. And as usual, Michelle did a great job putting the classified ads together, and we have that. And I've got to look at my notes here. I believe Michelle said that we had a new advertiser, and I'll mention that in a bit. And now here are the funeral services for our newspaper owner, Buddy Price. The funeral services are set for 10 a.m. Friday, January 12th at Phillips and Lucky Funeral Home in Giddings, Texas. Visitation will be from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thursday, January 11th, and 7 to 10 a.m. Friday, January 12th. So I hope I've got that all cleared up after I misspoke at the beginning of this thing. Our condolences go out to the families and friends of these people. So I'm going to move on. You know, we pretty well have wrapped up the newspapers in Lavaca County, and I'm looking at the Luling Newsboy, and Nicole Smith, the staff writer over there. She's got a story about the Mr. Taco business that is rebuilding after a bad fire, and Nicole's got that story. It's on the front page. And then there's a story here about National Human Trafficking Awareness Day, and that's something that we deal with, bad situation in our country, and down here in Texas, we get to see it firsthand, and it's not a pretty sight. Check out that story, and then Luling also has on their front page, they have the story of Buddy Price. Thanks to you folks in Luling for the great job that you do over there, and we've got their sports, and it's by Eric Lugo, Lugo, is a sports columnist to his stuff, and he's got some good stories, and they've got Nicole has added some awesome color pictures. So congratulations on the job that you folks do over there, and they have their classifieds as well. I hope that you'll go online and that you'll check all our newspapers out. They, like I told you before, and this includes Luling, they all have their own Facebook pages, and check them out. Now I've got some added things I'm going to share with you, and some of these things that Michelle had texted me that what she had planned to talk about in this podcast, and she wanted to talk about the Girl Scout cookies and these pageants, Hallettsville, Miss Hallettsville pageant. Michelle has a daughter that is involved in these pageants, and the pageants over in Shiner, and Michelle lives in Shiner, and both of us work out of the Hallettsville Tribune Herald office here in Hallettsville. So let's talk about sports. Mainly football. And one of my favorite coaches, Nick Saban, at the University of Alabama, has announced his retirement. The 72-year-old Saban is widely considered one of the greatest coaches in college football history. And I concur. He will be missed. And I imagine that Nick is pretty well rolling in the dough and that he don't have to work. But we'll see what happens. We'll see. You know, a lot of these guys retire and they just can't stay away from it. But he will be missed. He coached at Toledo in 1990, Michigan State 95 to 99, LSU 2000 to 2004, and the NFL's Miami Dolphins 2005 to 07. Saban won 7 national championships, 1 with LSU and 6 with Alabama. That's a legacy that will be hard to beat, friends. He amassed a record of 201 wins to just 29 losses at Alabama. Is that phenomenal or what? Man. And then another coach, and we move on over to NFL, is Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick and Saban are close friends, and they retired just within a few days of one another. Bill Belichick coached the New England Patriots, had a remarkable 24 seasons, and Thursday he said, we're going to move on. And he was looking back fondly at his unmatched run in NFL history that included 6 Super Bowl titles, and Belichick's exit from New England, like I said before, it occurred less than 24 hours after his close friend Nick Saban retired from Alabama. Roll Tide. Also in NFL news, Pete Carroll, his 14-year run as a Seattle Seahawks coach is over, marking a stunning end to one of the most successful chapters in that franchise history. The Seahawks announced Wednesday that Carroll and the team reached a decision for the coach to move on to an advisory role within the organization. Now, I doubt that Pete Carroll will be an advisor very long. Now, there's openings. I don't remember what I saw, but I think it was up to 6 coaching vacancies are available. And you can bet that if Pete Carroll wants a job, he'll get a job. Carroll helped the Seattle Seahawks franchise win its only Super Bowl in 2013 season. He compiled a 137 wins and 89 losses and 1 tie record in the regular season and led that organization to the playoffs 10 times. His 170 career regular season wins leaves him tied for 15th in league history and put him behind only Bill Belichick, Andy Reid, and Mike Tomlin, coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a little information maybe you didn't have. Well, let's talk about the weather. The weather. And I'm getting cold just looking at this report. It says here that there is a wind advisory in effect Thursday night at 12 midnight until Friday at 1 p.m. West winds 20 to 30 miles an hour with gusts up to 50 miles an hour are expected in the I-35 corridor and coastal plains of south central Texas, which is where I'm located right now. The impact on that is going to be gusty winds, could blow around unsecured objects, tree limbs could be blown down, and a few power outages may result. So it's telling us to use extra caution when driving, especially if operating high-profile vehicles, and secure all of your outdoor objects. Stay warm, everybody. Be aware that this is coming, and it's coming soon. Now I have one more thing that I want to share with you, and it's kind of repulsive in a way. I had a person that said he listened to last week's podcast, which was the very, very first of the local Lowdown edition. And he had the audacity to say that he heard something repulsive during that podcast. What was that? Oh, my God. Yeah, he said he heard a fart during that podcast. And I told him that the chair that I was sitting in when we recorded that was squeaking. And when I moved around, it would make a weird noise. But we were in our studio here at the Hallettsville Tribune Herald, and Michelle and I know that neither of us did that. So I was kind of offended that he would say that. And so if any of the rest of you think that if you think that happened, please know that it really did not happen. Did not happen. With that being said, friends, I'm going to go see if I can find a little something to consume in the way of liquid beverage. And I hope that Michelle will find her way back here next week, because I don't like doing this by myself. But that's all for tonight, folks. I hope that you got a little something out of it. And I hope that you'll share it. And I hope that you'll come back next week. Good night, everybody.